want to have anything to do with this. I'm going to go back into my chamber here. And what you realize is that that's just a very weak-minded mentality. And you don't realize that you're weak because you're just, basically self-medicating yourself, so you think everything's fine. And you have to break down all those walls, man. You have to pretty much just strip down naked before the world to see you when you come to that end of your rope. And it's either one or the other. You're either going to ask for help, do it yourself, or it's just going to be over, because there's nothing good going to come out of it. I mean, the human body can take a lot of abuse, but it will shut down. And I just didn't want to, I didn't want to die, man. I had a lot of living to do, and I got a lot of things to say, and, we want to be here, and we're proud to be here and be in this band. And, for me, I got a lot of things to make up for in the time that, I probably hurt a lot of people and some of the fans, and I mean, all my respect and my loyalty goes towards them. So for me, it was just that day of waking up and deciding that this is not the way that I wanted to choose to live my life anymore.
Now, you've heard the album. Stansbury's like, dude, it's real good.
I will say that I think The Sound of Madness definitely needs to be released to radio. It's a great song.
Thank you.
And my favorite song off the record is definitely Call Me. It's I like when you guys write ballady type stuff. I don't know what it is about.
I think it showcases Brent's voice a lot.
Yeah,
more, really.
And you guys really sound great when you write stuff like that. So when I heard Call Me, that's like where you hit the repeat button on the CD player in the car. Like, you cannot listen to that song once. It just cannot be done. You have to listen to it more than once.
Well, I mean, for this record, the biggest thing for me and Barry was the fact that sonically we wanted to make the biggest sounding record that we could make. Going off of Us and Them, that record was done in 6 months. It was very fast. And, this record took 18 months. And a lot of that was the fact that our label, Atlantic Records, they were really good to us because they didn't put a timeline on us. Because I made a trip up to New York and talked to our chairman. I was like, they wanted a record in 6 months. I said, there's no way it's going to happen. I said, not if you want the caliber of record that me and Barry want to give you. So they left us alone.
That's cool. Normally the money men are like, we don't care, put it out.
No, they were
supportive.
They were very supportive of us.
Cool.
They said, for them, they said, when you're ready to show it to us, you'll show it to us.
Not that they didn't ask every day.
Yeah. But, we went into, Barry played on this record harder than he had ever played, mainly because I think that he had given himself a task to outdo what he thought he was capable of doing. And, really, watching him on a daily basis when he was doing the tracks for the record is pretty inspiring to watch him, because it was extremely brutal what he was doing. I mean, he was really sacrificing, and I don't mean to sound cheesy when I say this, but he was sacrificing a lot of his body on a lot of these songs, because this is a really intense record on a lot of the songs. And as far as the lyrics, I said I'd never write a love song. There's a love song on this record called If You Only Knew. I never thought that I would write a song that had any kind of political reference, but when we made a trip to Iraq 3 years ago, that was one of the most life-changing experiences for me and him, because we only went over there because we wanted to show our troops how much they mean to us, because that was the only reason for going there. It had nothing to do with politics, but meeting them on every single day, finally physically getting to shake their hands, talk to them, ask them what their days are like, what they go through, being able to play for them that night. Because we played Fort Benning in Kuwait, we played Fallujah in Iraq, we did TQ, we did Al-Assad. We were there during the Marines' birthday at Fallujah. We were there at TQ for Veterans Day, so it was a very emotional thing for everybody there. And coming back from that experience, I just had a lot of frustration, because I think in all reality that because we're in an election time right now, and it's a very, regardless of how everybody looks at politics, this is a situation right now that we're in to make a decision on who is going to be the next president of the United States. I think that the reality is that these soldiers have been over there for way too long. They have not been able to come back and see their families, their friends, their loved ones. We need someone to give an answer. Finding a solution is imperative, I think, now more than ever. With the way gas prices are right now and the economy and everything else, there needs to be some form of a compromise built around why these soldiers are still there and when can they come home. I mean, I have to give you an example. I mean, I met a soldier over, I believe it was in Al-Assad, and I met a lot of soldiers. But I remember meeting this one specific gentleman who had a 3-year-old daughter that he had never physically seen. And
it was just tour after tour
to
after
me,
tour.
I just was like, how is this possible?
Yeah.
You know, and we're beyond, you know, pro-troops. And I think that it's a very touchy subject because you don't want the soldiers and you don't want the troops to think as if, you know, well, we're over there because we're fighting for your freedom and our freedom. And it's no disrespect to them at all. If anything, we have the highest respect for them. We just want to try to we want there to be an answer as to why we can't bring them home, you know, and that's what Devour was written about.
Oh, okay.
And, you know, there were people that asked me, you know, they said, are you sure you want to go into this? And I said, I have to, because if I don't, I'm going to be letting myself down if I don't talk about it. And I asked Barry if he was going to be comfortable with it because he comes from a military family. Eric's family, the new bass player in the band, you know, his they're military based as well. But I want people to know that I'm not the guy that's going to talk about it. We'll go and do something about it. We'll do anything and everything for our soldiers. You know, we would go back in a heartbeat. We would rather them be able to come home. But anything that we can do, we want to try to do as far as finding a solution to all this. Believe me, I'm not the guy that can tell you I could be the leader of the free world. It's an insane job. But the reality is someone needs to go in there and really listen to this country and figure out what's going to be the most beneficial thing so that we can have some form of peace in this world, because it's really difficult right now. And I don't know if there ever will be world peace, but I think everybody hopes for it. But there definitely has got to be some kind of compromise for these soldiers so that they can come home and see their families.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy because they keep sending them back and back and back. I mean, what they like, you know, normally you do a tour and then you've kind of earned your right to go home, and that's not happening now.
No.
And no one can give an answer as to why it's happening. I mean, really,
they're working so hard over there. I mean, they really are. The troops over there have a relatively high morale given the repeated tours of duty. I mean, you go over there and you just see the sense of pride that you don't see over here, and you're definitely not going to see on the news over here. The sense of pride over there is absolutely amazing, and it's inspiring.
That was the other thing, you know, right before we left, we were watching a lot of the news on various channels, and it's not like what they show you. They'll edit what they want you to see. It's really the reality. They'll edit what they want, and then they'll show you that to kind of give you an overview.
I've heard that, but again, I mean, you know, the only thing I see is on
the
big cable news outlet, so I don't.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and so when we went over there, I mean, we were in Fallujah, and that day there were some soldiers that came in, and unfortunately one of them had passed away. I believe one had lost their arm. It was horrible. And then we played the show that night, and then we were outside with two of the generals and our liaison that was taking us around the base, and all of a sudden, just all in a row, like it was just like boom, 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 like 9 just hits, and we were like, "What was that?" And they were like, "That's us." And I was like, "Well, what are they doing?" They're like, "That's us, you know, paying them back for that what happened earlier with losing a soldier." And then, and it's tough, man, because you don't realize until you're there and you hear. I mean, it was close.
And they're all calm. We're sitting there ducking and covering.
Yeah, I was like, huh? And you know, and I'm like, well, is everything all good? And they're like, well, unless you see a red fireball coming towards you, then we're good. Okay. But I mean, I think if anything, what people need to understand. And don't get me wrong, you know, look, we were only there for 5 days. I know that some people might take what we're saying like, you were only there for a little while. You're right. We were only there for a little while, but even in that short period of time, to watch what these men and women do, it's extraordinary. Their morale, like Barry said, it's high. They're there because they're there for a purpose. They want to make sure that, you know, us sitting in this studio right now, that we're free, that we can walk outside and we live in a free country. in where, you know, whatever you want for your life to be, it can be exactly that. It's totally up to you, but you have that freedom. And they're just beyond amazing, and we just want to be able to try to figure out a way to get them some answers. I think that's what people want. They want an answer. Bottom line.
Awesome. Who are they playing with tonight? I'm completely out of